Hello guys, and welcome to my Sonic Lost World playthrough. This playthrough is kind of annoying for me because I have to get back used to using the the Wii U gamepad. But whatever, I'll get used to it. I got used to it as soon as the game came out, and I can do it again. So, what is this game? Well, this is actually the second most recent Sonic game released, the last one being Sonic Boom, which I don't own, and a lot of you Sonic fans probably already know why. But this game, I think it might be fair to say that this game is one of the most controversial Sonic games, even more so than Sonic Adventure 2. It's very much, it's got a lot of issues, but at the same time, it's got a lot of good stuff as well, so. Unfortunately, guys, this is also, just like Sonic Adventure 2, going to be a playthrough where there's not going to be any cutscenes, as well as the fact that I'm playing on a completed save file. And you guys might be wondering, you're being lazy, why don't you just show all the cutscenes? Why didn't you show the cutscenes in Sonic Adventure 2? Well, in Sonic Adventure 2, I'll admit it, I had no excuse. In that game, I could have very well just recorded all the cutscenes along with the gameplay, but to be honest, I didn't really want to put you guys through that. And I didn't really care, I didn't really care for that game's cutscenes, because I think that most Sonic fans already know what happens in that game. But this game, on the other hand, why not this game? Well, there are actually 2 or 3 problems that I have with this one when it comes to cutscenes. One, once you have watched a cutscene, there is no way to rewatch it. That means that if you're, that means that once you watch the cutscene, you can never, there's no option, there's no menu to go and rewatch it. And that's really weird. Like, why would they omit that? Like every other Sonic, I think, well actually I don't think Sonic Adventure 2 had that. In the next issue is the problem that you cannot have multiple save files on this game. You can only have one save file per profile, which means that I would have to make like a whole new profile just to show you guys the whole thing. And the last issue is the fact that this game has some animal grinding put into the mix. Like when, like the last level of every zone, you need to, you have to get a certain amount of animals to unlock, and they're not very many at all. Going to the circus minigames, which I will show off. By the way, this bell scores you a red ring if you bounce it around enough times, but I will show off the circus tents, but I figured to keep this playthrough streamlined, I'm just going to go through it, no cutscenes, and yeah. Do you want me to tell you guys the plot? Basically, the Deadly Six are jerks, and Sonic needs to stop them. Is there more to the story? No. Because, I'm sorry guys, this story is really simple, even for a Sonic game. To go into a little more detail, so don't come off as ignorant, basically, Eggman has led Sonic and Tails to this lost hex, with all animals in tow, and Sonic and Tails are trying to save the animals, but Eggman, turns out, has a bunch of reinforcements on his side in the form of the Deadly Six, who are, basically these, Zeti, I think it's like a pun on Yeti, but with a Z, and he's keeping them in line with a magic conch shell. Spoiler warning, soon into the game, in fact in Desert Ruin, which is the next zone we're going to, Sonic gets rid of, unknowingly gets rid of Eggman's conch shell and doesn't realize what it was for. And the Deadly Six turn against Eggman, and Sonic has to stop the Deadly Six. And honestly, there's not much else to it. However, I will praise this game for the cutscenes. I think the cutscenes are very funny. I'll put a link in the description to a video that has all the cutscenes. So if you guys are missing out on that, you can go ahead. But let's talk about the game itself. How does the game control? In my opinion, this is the second best controlling Sonic game the bunch. However, I couldn't really prove that with the last zone we just went through because, again, I'm so not used to the Wii U gamepad and Sonic Control because I haven't played this game in a while. But I'm still getting used to the controls, so don't think the controls are sloppy. In fact, I think this game almost has as good control as Sonic Adventure 2. It has a lot more precision than Sonic Adventure 2, but Sonic Adventure 2 just had better acceleration and a better feel. This game is one of the slowest Sonic games to date. Sonic does not move very fast compared to his previous iterations. You have two distinct speeds. You have a walking speed and you have a running speed, which you need to use the run button in order. You need to hold down the run button in order to go that fast. You can also spin dash, which isn't nearly as fast as other Sonic games, but it's still pretty fast and it's very good for speed runs. And yeah, Sonic moves pretty slow in this game, but they traded it for precision. I can say that whenever I die as Sonic, it's my fault or the parkour system with grabbing ledges being a little bit finicky, but that's only in 2D sections. And so in this game, Sonic has a double jump, which you can execute by pressing the B button. No, sorry, the A button when no enemy is locked on. Or if you're locked on, you can still press the B button to do a double jump anyway, which is something a lot of people don't know. In fact, this game is pretty terrible about teaching you its mechanics. like, you could still find videos today of people, like, thinking that something doesn't exist, but it actually does. Basically, you're pretty much, dang it, what did I just say? Crap. Wow. What was I just saying? Oh yeah, the homing attack without having the option of not homing attacking, right. So, if you're locked on, you can still press the B button to just do a double jump. And again, a lot of people don't know that because they just assume that you have to homing attack everything. And as far as that goes, that's about it. Sonic has a new parkour system in this game where if you jump up to a wall and you have to be holding down the run button, so that's to keep you from going on the wall if you don't want to, because if you don't want to go up the wall, just don't hold down the run button. And you can basically run along walls in 3D sections, or you can run up walls, and as well as wall jump. And sidestep, which is another mechanic that took a while for people to learn. Yeah, I'm so rusty. But Sonic's control is really good in this game. The homing attack is a little bit different than it used to be. It now can lock onto multiple targets, and once you release it, it of course hits all of them. However, one thing that confuses a lot of people, and I think I found the answer as to why this exists, is that Sonic does, if you'll see here, Sonic like goes up in an arc whenever he homes in on an opponent. And a lot of people don't understand why that is, but I think why that is that in previous Sonic games, specifically ones that had really long homing attack ranges, Sonic would go straight for the opponent. But the thing is that, let's say you were above, like there's a square platform in between you and the opponent you're homing. You are above the platform, and the enemy is below it. And you're on opposite ends. So if you were to, if your feet were to touch the ground while homing in on an opponent, Sonic would cancel the homing attack, run across the ground, and then run off the edge. I think that this was done to prevent that, so the arc that you're sent in will send you over the platform and always hit the opponent. So, I think that's pretty cool. Sonic also has a kick. If you press X instead of B, he will do the kick technique. It replaces the homing attack. And it's pretty good. It's good for revealing defenses and enemies or kicking enemies towards other ones. And, yeah. The homing attack also has multiple strengths in this game. The longer the cursor is homed in on the opponent, the more it builds up. But it is a little inconsistent. Like, sometimes it doesn't build up, even though I swear I'm just standing right in front of them. So, that can be a bit problematic. But it's really good for boss fights because you can beat bosses in like 2 hits if you charge it up all the way and then hit them. So yeah, that's about it as far as Sonic's control. The parkour system is a little bit too simple, but I appreciate it for not being limited. You can pretty much parkour on any surface or wall that you find, which adds a lot of different ways to move around the level, and I think that's pretty cool. He also has the stomp. I forgot to mention that. But you can only bounce 3 times before you then go to your maximum height, and you can't bounce anymore. So, yeah. People can love this game or hate this game. Me, I'm indifferent. I think this game's really fun at some points, but really kind of boring at some other points. In fact, since I'm already spending this episode talking about how Sonic controls, let me talk about how the spin dash works. In fact, I'll just show it off without moving. Basically, you press the left trigger and Sonic will unleash a spin dash. But eventually he's going to slow down if you just don't do anything. See, let me test something, actually. Yeah, even if you hold forward, he's going to stop spin dashing. So what are you supposed to do to keep it going? You actually are supposed to left trigger to activate it, and then after it begins, when you release left trigger, press left trigger again, and you'll see that white circle emit from Sonic Spin Dash. That means that it's going on infinite now, as long as you hold down the left trigger. So it's pretty much an infinite spin dash. But the cool thing about it is that if you just jump, but you're still holding down the left trigger, he will spin dash as soon as he hits the ground, making it a very fast technique. In fact, I'm gonna just speed through this with it. But once you double jump, it cancels it. So it's really a speedrunning tactic, and I think it works well. Although the spin dash itself is a little bit stiff. And yeah, the level design in this game is incredibly varied. Sometimes you're in tubes like this, sometimes you're in 2D sections, sometimes you're in a gimmick stage. It all varies, but in these tube levels, I really like the level design in these tube levels, because they give you a lot of different pathways to take. Which is really nice, but the 2D sections don't really do it as much, and the gimmick levels are pretty straightforward. Just to clarify, those Chaos Emeralds that you're seeing on the top of the screen, those are because I have Supersonic, and I have 50 rings. And basically, I can activate Supersonic right now if I wanted to, who has the boost instead of the spin dash, so it's an instantaneous spin dash no matter where you are. And that's pretty cool. There are also Wisps in this game. Wisps are returning from Sonic Colors. You have to tap the screen to activate these, by the way. Actually, I think you can press like left or right bumper on the like the L and R buttons on the gamepad, and you'll activate them that way. So that's nice, but you still have to tap the screen for Supersonic for whatever reason. Which kind of bugs me, because if they had just mapped all the things to buttons anyway, why isn't there Pro Controller support? I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure this game doesn't have Pro Controller support. Oh well. The gamepad works fine. I'm just saying I'm not used to it because I'm just not used to it. And you can definitely notice Sonic moves a lot slower in these 2D sections than he does in the 3D ones. The 2D sections are considered to be some of the worst parts of the game. And I understand it. I completely understand it. These move a little bit too slow, and they feel a lot like a Mario game. Which is not a good thing when it comes to Sonic. Now with the Wisp, with the exception of the Rhythm Wisp that you find later on, you can control them all with analog stick or gyroscope controls with the gamepad. So you have that option. That was added in a patch that came to this game about, I want to say maybe like 2 months after its release. and the only one that can't be controlled by analog is the Rhythm Wisp, which is just touching the screen, pretty much. Yeah, there's also talking in the background. The Deadly Six taunt you as you're going through the level. I do love the atmosphere in this game. Crap, I keep jumping from point to point. Let me just finish up with the Wisps. The Wisps are really optional. You don't have to use them at all in this game. You can literally skip every single one. You never have to use them. However, some of them are fun to use, some of them aren't, and yeah. Also, that patch also added the ability for when you get 100 rings, you get an extra life. For whatever reason, that wasn't in the game when it first came out, and it caused a lot of people to be scarce on lives and get a game over pretty easily, especially when going for the red rings, which are pretty tricky to get. Although, let me just talk about red rings right now. I don't know why people are complaining about this game's red rings and not complaining about the other two games, Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations. Sonic Colors are so much harder to find, and their placement is just outright weird. And with Sonic Generations, there's so many times where it's do or die, you miss it, and you have to restart the checkpoint or the level. And there are also many times where you have to complete the level multiple times in order to get all the red rings. In this game, there are a lot of do-or-die red rings. I'll admit that. But I don't think there's any level where you have to go through it multiple times in order to get them all. And all the red rings are kind of in places that you'd expect them to be. If you're actively hunting for them, you're going to find about 90% of them. Like, and that's pretty good, in my opinion. Although the main complaint is that the red rings don't do much. They only give you Circus Tents and Supersonic. You can also, like, roll back and forth. There's no point to it. And yeah, I personally like this game. I'm gonna say that right now. I like it. But there are issues, and I can completely understand. So let's talk about this game's graphics. Oh my god. This game looks pretty good. Solid 1080p 60 frames per second throughout the entire game. So, you guys get to enjoy that. And it's never dropping frame rate either. The levels are also incredibly varied in this game too. So, that can be a bad thing, though, considering that there's a lot of gimmick levels, which people have problems with. Me, personally, the gimmick levels never really got too intrusive for me. Alright, let me show off this eagle. When you had to use a gyroscope, this thing was a pain. Just gonna avoid this guy. You can boost, but it uses up your wisp meter anyway. So you might as well just go with the flow. Gonna try and get out of the way of the really, what I like to call the slow road. You move a lot slower on that dust, but you can jump around with your spin dash to try and keep some momentum. Ah! Orbinauts are so annoying. You can spin dash while parkouring to go further, but you can only do it once per run. But there is an infinite wall running exploit that you can do in 3D sections, which I might show off, probably in Tropical Coast. Let's see here. Ah! Those things will kill you if you hit them near their mouth, if they swallow you. So they'll kill you in one instant. So don't be in front of them when they do that. I'm doing this really slowly, but normally I get through it a lot faster. Speedruns of this game are really impressive because of the parkour and spin dash. The music in this game, not as good as, it's kind of low-key compared to most Sonic games, but I think it's pretty good. I like the atmosphere they add with it. I'm so tempted to talk about how stupid the Sonic fanbase is, but I'm going to try and resist. This is like the perfect game to talk about that. This level, Desert Ruins Act 1, kind of boring. Desert levels always seem to be boring, don't they? For some reason, there's Triforces on the ground. Ah! Orbinaut. They're pretty much, like, they lock at an altitude, either jumping altitude or ground altitude, and you pretty much have to guess, which isn't very helpful when the camera angle isn't facing the right way. Yeah, I've gotten used to this game already. The controls are not too hard to get used to. I'll quickly talk about the multiplayer in this game. It's pretty good. Again, no online for some stupid reason. It doesn't have as many stage options as Sonic Adventure 2, nor multiplayer, like, gameplay style options, but it's still pretty fun for about an hour. It's still a nice distraction. Okay, I think this is the perfect level to talk about part of the complaints about this game, Mach speed sections. For those of you who are unaware, that concept was sort of made famous in Sonic 06 for the Xbox 60 and PS3, which is probably the most hated Sonic game ever because of just how rushed it was, the bad decisions, the story, a lot of things about that game suck. I'm just gonna put that out right now. This game and the Mach speed sections were notorious in that game because they controlled like other crap. But in this game, it's perfectly fine because you're only adjusting your position on the cylinder, and it's very smooth and very easy. You cannot slow down though, so don't think you can slow down. A lot of people complained about this section, but really it's harmless. However, if you run into a wall, you do instantly die. Chances are you won't, if it's your first time even. But, yeah, just a heads up. Don't run into walls. There's no ranking system in this game, unless you're playing the time attack, which ranks you based on how fast you complete the level. Which I think is actually a really good challenge. The times they set in that mode are actually pretty hard. And there's 4 lives for no reason. You cannot activate Supersonic on these sections for some reason. Whatever, it wouldn't really do any good. Except make you invincible, I suppose. I love the writing in this game.
Wow, you're barely a snack.
Thanks, jerk. Whoa! Diving is pretty straightforward. Just hold down the run button, you go faster. And you can move around with the analog stick. This is pretty easy to get around. Just don't run. Don't rush yourself. Wait for it to charge and hit him. Deadly Six, I think, are very charming. They're one-dimensional as heck, though. Like, they're pretty much stereotypes to the max. Like, Zaz, the first guy's crazy, this guy's fat. And, yeah. Again, I think Sonic controls really well in this game.
Does this mean no dessert?
Yeah, it does. Shut up. For those wondering how to get animals for the levels unlocking thing, you have to open up the capsules around the stage, beat up enemies, or crap. I'll talk about that in a sec. There's also challenges you can complete, too. You can talk to this guy, and you can complete new challenges that he gives you. All they really do is give you upgrades to those co-op machines that I mentioned that just showed up, as well as some items for you to use in the stage, which you can earn over Miiverse. Don't turn that feature on if it's your first playthrough, because you're not really gonna get anything useful. The co-op drones are pretty much what they sound like. You can basically get a second player to use the drones that follow Sonic. Each drone has a different ability, and the more copies of the drone that you collect, the stronger that specific drone gets. The drones do different things. One of them drops bombs, one of them shoots missiles, one of them camouflages Sonic, but honestly, they're all pretty inconsequential. This level I thought was so cool when I first saw it, and now I think it's the blandest one in the game. This is just so boring. And there's so much automation. However, it does give me a bit of a sweet tooth. Like it's kind of making me in the mood for Twizzlers now. The cannon shortcuts are the main attraction in this place. Why isn't he... Oh, I forgot. I can't homing attack the truffles. I thought I could. Just open those capsules by jumping on them. There's actually a hidden shortcut up here, though. Spin dash, and then jump, mid-air jump, and you'll make it there. You can basically go for these numbers, which grant you an extra life if you get all of them. Yay. And you can see it as it's coming by, but drop down bottomless pit, and you get this thing. It's not much of a shortcut, really. It's faster just to go up the normal way. But it does give you rings, so that's nice. This part can be a little tricky, but just go with the flow and you'll be fine. If you just keep moving forward, you'll hit the next row. You'll hit the next launch. The boss fights in this game suck. I mentioned in Sonic Adventure 2 that I thought the boss fights are better than most games, and this is a definite example. The boss fights in this game are so ridiculously easy. However, the game itself isn't easy as a whole. I think it's pretty much as hard, maybe a little bit harder than Sonic Adventure 2. So, bring your A game. Don't underestimate this. Yeah, this is the gimmick here. This is actually, surprisingly, the only real auto-scrolling level in the game, unless you count the flying ones we'll get to later. That tornado has rubber band AI. The faster you move, the faster it moves. Let's do the drill wisp. I find this music incredibly annoying. Like, it's so repetitive. It's just... It's, like, really annoying. You can kill those enemies by hitting their head. Ah, jerk. I don't know. I forget what that dust means. You can also jump between dirt like that. And you can speed yourself up by holding the run button like I'm doing right now. The moment you land on solid ground, it cancels itself. Every wisp has a time meter on it. If it runs out, then your wisp runs out. If you're underground when that drill timer runs out, you're dead. So don't let that happen. Just take your time here. Don't worry about it. I find Sonic a little bit easier to control when you're just walking. So if you're having trouble with platforming, just go to walk mode and just don't hold down the run button. A lot of people have commented that the environments are very similar to a Mario game as far as the level order. Like you go from grassy area to desert to why do I suck at this? Why do I suck at remembering stuff like this? I'm trying to think of all the Zeddy. Oh, the next one's tropical, the next one's ice theme, the next one's jungle themed. Yeah, I understand it. It's very similar to a Mario game, and a lot of people have compared this game to Mario Galaxy. However, it plays very differently despite the way it looks. So don't write this off as Sonic copying Mario, because I don't. Besides level aesthetics, I don't really think he is. Besides, this game was partly developed and helped by Nintendo, so I can understand why there's some aspects of it. One charge and he's down. See how easy these bosses are? Dang. So disappointing. No. Alright, I just got a challenge there. Anyway, guys, see you next part.